a California grower has issued a nationwide recall of organic carrots because of an E. coli outbreak. These carrots are sold under various names at Kroger, Trader Joe's, Walmart, and Whole Foods. So all four of those locations are here in Columbus. Now, the numbers that I have seen on this are that one person has died and 15 people have been hospitalized. Which, if I channel my inner logical mind of MSNBC's Jen Psaki, seems like a big fuss about nothing. I say, what, Bruce? A person has died from eating carrots and 15 have been hospitalized with E. coli, which could kill more. And you're saying it's much ado about nothing? I didn't say I'm saying that. I'm saying if I channel my inner Jen Psaki logical mind, which is to say illogical mind, then the E. coli outbreak is not really that big of a deal. I mean, after all, it's only killed one person and it's only hospitalized 15. How many people do we have in America? We have like over 330 million people, don't we? So one dead and 15 hospitalized? In the deranged, illogical mind of Jen Psaki is not that big of a deal. Now you say, wait, you can't supply me audio proof that Jen Psaki is poo-pooing the E. coli outbreak on baby carrots. And you're right, I can't. But I can supply you audio proof that would apply to the E. coli outbreak, given what she had to say over the weekend about the Democratic postmortem in the election and the issue that played big with independents in that election.
There's obviously a lot of soul searching right now going on within the Democratic Party, and that's a good thing. But what I worry about is that in the course of all that soul searching, some Democrats might reach the wrong sweeping conclusions. And there are a lot of issues that fall into that bucket. But one in particular that stuck out to me is transgender rights. Republicans spent hundreds of millions of dollars on anti-trans ads this election cycle, including one that showed Vice President Harris talking about government funding for gender-reaffirming care for prisoners and detainees. If that sounds like a particularly obscure issue, it is.
A particularly obscure issue, she says. The transgender thing is a particularly obscure issue, like one person dying of E. coli, like 15 being hospitalized of E. coli. A particularly obscure issue it is. Please continue, Jen.
It is, because it applies to a tiny group of people.
Tiny group.
A policy that, by the way, was in place during the first Trump presidency. Another one of the lines that ran over and over again in those ads and throughout right-wing media is this idea that America is faced with a crisis of boys playing in girls' sports. Now, these ads created this perception that the issues of trans kids playing sports was dominating schools across the country, which is completely false. Some people got pulled into that argument.
Oh, some people got pulled into that argument. It's happening all over the country. Isn't that, Jen says, it's not happening all over the country. It's not happening in Connecticut, where girls had their state championships stolen by boys. It's not happening to Riley Gaines with Leah Thomas and other swimmers who are actually women in the NCAA championships. It's not happening at San Jose State University, which, wait a minute, Connecticut, Riley Gaines, University of Kentucky, San Jose. Seems like we have a expanse of transgender athletes from East Coast to West Coast. Oh, and I forgot. Was it Peyton McNabb, the girl in North Carolina who has a permanent brain injury and facial paralysis from being spiked in the face by a boy? Do we not see videos all the time of boys playing girls' sports and dominating? But Jen Psaki says, it's just a minor thing. It's not sweeping the country. Don't worry. Eat your baby carrots. You're going to be fine. It's just a few of you. It's only one of you who's dead and only 15 of you who are hospitalized.
I mean, immediately after the election, Congressman Seth Moulton told the New York Times that, quote, Democrats spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. Came on this network to discuss those comments.
I was just speaking authentically as a dad about one of many issues where I think we're just out of touch with the majority of voters. And I stand by my position. Maybe I didn't get all the words exactly right. But the point is that the backlash I've received proves my point that we can't even have these discussions as a party.
He is not wrong on that. He is absolutely not wrong. He said what is true. He said what is logical. Jen Psaki is frustrated because they utterly failed to turn common sense into a thought crime and to leverage it for votes from independents. There's an organization called Blueprint that speaks to swing voters. And we were told throughout this election that swing voters would decide this election. There aren't very many swing voters. Everyone was like, it's going to come down to 7 states. Trump won every one of the 7 swing states. Why? Blueprint did a post-electoral analysis. And what was it that they found that actually moved swing state voters, who they define as someone who changed their voting preferences since 2020? Means in 2020 they voted for Democrats, and now this time they voted for Republicans, or in 2020 they voted for Republicans, and now they voted for Democrats. And what did they find the single most important issue? Was it immigration? No. Was it inflation? No. Was it Israel? No. It was none of the 3 the letter I centric issues. It was that Kamala Harris focused more on cultural issues like transgender issues rather than helping the middle class. This is why this bothers Jen Psaki. This is why she comes up with this inane logic that, well, shame on you for noticing. Shame on you for noticing. Shame on you for being fearful that what is happening to kids around the country, what is happening to athletes in the Mountain West, what happened to Riley Gaines, what happened to these girls in Connecticut, what happened to Peyton McNabb in North Carolina, what is happening around the country in other places where we don't know the names of transgender athletes playing in women's sports or going into women's spaces where we can't pull the name out of the air, but we know it's happening. Loudoun County, Virginia, where a boy wearing a skirt raped a girl in the school bathroom, and they arrested the father of the girl for going to school and making noise about it. All of this is much ado about nothing, according to Jen Psaki. But as is obvious from my ridiculous comparison, if you took this same attitude that she applies to the transgender issue and you said, well, I mean, on this E. coli outbreak, only 1 person has died and only 15 have been hospitalized. What are you worried about? Just go ahead and eat the carrots. That would be stupid, right? That would be insensitive, right? Because why? Because it could become a much larger problem if you don't attend to it. And here in the state of Ohio, they had their heads buried in the sand at the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Oh, we only have a few, and they're not dominating. You know what? You know when it becomes a problem? When it's a problem. Did we have a problem in NCAA athletics before Leah Thomas? Will Thomas ended up stealing championships from women? No, we didn't have a problem. And then all of a sudden, there's this big hairy problem. All of a sudden, you're dead from eating an E. coli infested baby carrot. Too late to do anything about it then. This is the mind of someone who spoke for the presidential administration and who now purports to be an influencer on the Democratic side of the aisle. This is moronic that she takes this position. She has a daughter. She is a woman, if I can be so full of temerity to assume something that she probably wouldn't admit about herself, that she is a woman. Utter stupidity. Well, it's not that big of a problem. Just let it go until it becomes a problem, until the whole country is dead from